he's out of test by
He's
now.
already gone. You know what? That's fine.
All right, so we are going to listen and get ready to take a whole bunch of notes. Because we're going to write our first formal lab report of the year. And this is the form that we will be using the rest of the year for all of our other experiments. And we do a good number of experiments second semester. So the first thing you do is you are going to do the title, and then out beside the word title, you're going to put a colon, and then you're going to write the title. Now the title on a lot of labs that we do is already given to you. It's written at the top of the lab. It says something like Empirical Formula Lab. Well, that would be the title of your lab. Well, I haven't really given this one a title, so you can use your own title and use a little creativity if you like. Now, the purpose of the lab, I told you the purpose before we ever started. What was the purpose of this lab? Find the percent sugar in double bubble gum. We did double bubble. All right, so we would write a one sentence, usually it's one sentence, we write a purpose. Now, these are lined up at your margin. These three, right, these major headings. And we are not going to do any more procedures because I give you a procedure after this. I didn't tell you what to do. You had to come up with your own plan. And you're going to have to write down the steps of your own plan. And it's going to be a numbered list of commands. Now this is a formal lab report. No personal pronouns. What happens if you write you in your essay for Ms. Johnson? She don't like it. So we're not going to have any personal pronouns in a formal paper. And this is a formal paper. All right, we're also in your list of things, we have no discussion of any math. All this list is what are you doing when you're at the back of the room getting measurements. With blow bubbles, it drives me nuts. This is back when you're back there doing measurements. So this is the only time we're going to do it. And the next thing that we do is our data table. Now, data table is up here next to the margin, and then I have an indented area. And yes, you can type it if you choose to. Now, a data table, neatness counts on a paper like this. A data table has your addition and subtraction. So, any addition or subtraction or any measurements you've made. So what measurements have you made already? You did, how much is the gum? You got the gum? Or did you get the gum in the wrapper? Ah, okay, so you have two measurements then. You have the mass of the gum and the mass of the wrapper. If you chose to zero your balance after you put the wrapper on there and just get the mass of the gum, that has to be in your procedure. Because you're writing this procedure for somebody who doesn't know what's going on. For a 7th grader. Get your gum from the teacher. Get the mass of the gum and the wrapper. Or lay the wrapper on the balance and hit 0. Hit the 0 button and take the mass. And then lay the gum on, you have just the mass of the gum. Somehow you got to let them know one or the other. So if you got the mass of the gum and the wrapper, that's fine. That's what I would have done too. And then I got the mass of just the wrapper. So I know those two things. And like Mason said, she's exactly right. I need to subtract A minus B. Now this is a lettered list. This is a lettered list. So I put the letters so that I can identify when I'm subtracting two of the values given. Because the 7th grader might not know how I got the mass of the gum because they've never done a lab before. So this is, the gum is A minus B. Now look where it is. It's over here at the end of where I said gum. It's not on the left. It's not in front of the C. It's at the end of the statement. Okay, and that's where I want it. All right, also about your data table, you have all the measurements that you take back there while you're back there. Any addition or subtraction. Okay, you have a heading up here that says material. You have a heading that says material, and then over here you have a heading that says mass, and I put a G by it. If I put a G by it, then I don't have to write the G every time I write a mass. Some labs might have a volume and mass that you have to take the measurement of, so in that case you just put measurements. And then you would list them, and you have to say G or ML depending on what you measure. All right, the box around the data table, it has to be around the outside, and I suggest that you do a rough draft so you know how big to make this. One of the things I hate the most is I get a bunch of gibberish in here and you didn't leave enough room because you didn't plan ahead. Neatness counts. So plan ahead, know what you're going to put in your data table, and leave yourself enough room. It's not going to take as much room to put these masses in because you already know how many significant figures does your mass have on the mass of the gum. 3. And when you subtract that 3 significant figures, if the mass of the wrapper is only got 2 significant figures, when you subtract, you're still going to have it to the nearest 100. Okay? So you're watching your significant figures. Now I have a vertical line here. Those are required lines. I do not require horizontal lines because your notebook paper's already got them on there. And it just makes it look really messy when you start trying to draw horizontal lines when you already got horizontal lines drawn. Okay, so don't try to do all the lines in between each data. Now, these lines have to be straight. I don't accept Tourette's lines. And these are Tourette's lines. They're not straight. So I would deduct 10% of the grade. Well, 5 points out of 50 is 10%. So, no, it's graded on numbers. But I would put -5 by the, and I would put -5 straight. And I would write straight right there, telling you that it's got to be a straight line. Okay, so that's your data table. All of your addition and subtraction would go there, and there's some labs we add, some labs we subtract, and there's some labs where we add 2 things together and then subtract it from a bigger thing. So it's, you got to document how you do it. All right, the next thing is the analysis. Now the stuff I have written over here is notes. Those are notes for me. Just things that I expect. When you do analysis, if you use a formula, the formula must be written. The formula counts 10%. So if I'm going to use percent sugar, then I'm going to say percent sugar equals the part, which is sugar, over the whole, which is the gum and the sugar. Before you put that gum in your mouth, what was in it? Gum and sugar. Gum is a chemical that used to come from trees in South America, but it does not anymore. It's a polymer, I think, that was developed in the lab, and then they put the sugar, mix the sugar with it, and then dry it for a little bit, and you get the gum. Okay. All right. So part of the whole times 100. Those usually your formulas are written on the board over to the side. Then you're going to plug in your numbers. So the formula must be written. Then you put your numbers in, and you pay attention to your significant figures. When I get through this, how many significant figures should my answer have? 3. So my number, it will go from, in this case, 100 numbers to a number that's probably going to be a 10. Like they see, 3 significant figures. And it's always nice to finish this up with a percent sugar. You know, you didn't have to put it here in this part right here. You could leave that off. But here, it's a good thing to put it. Notice my equal sign. Where are my equal signs? They are lined up vertically. They are lined up vertically. So I expect to see them lined up vertically. Do not come out here and put equals and then add some more stuff out here. No, don't do that. Fix them vertically. It's readability. It's making it easy for someone to read it quickly. And that's what you want to consider whenever you're writing the lab report. Now, the last thing. Did I go too fast with blow bubbles? Got me nothing. All right, so we go to the last thing, conclusion. The first thing you write is your purpose again. Your purpose. The purpose was to find the percent sugar in gum. So your statement on your first statement after on the conclusion is the percent sugar in double bubble gum is some number, 12, 15, 25, whatever number you come up with. Okay? So you're going to restate the purpose with the number you just calculated. Restate the purpose with the number you just calculated. Then you write a paragraph about what you learned. Now, I've spent the last several minutes talking to you about what? No. How to write a formal lab report. So one of the main things you learn is how to write a formal lab report. I also told you that gum came from a tree in South America. Some of you knew it, some of you didn't. You just heard that. So it's something you can put in what I learned. There are other things. When I do the drawing in a minute, I'll tell you another one but you'll have to do some research on it to get the credit. I give extra credit on these paragraphs if you have an interesting, unique thing you learned. Okay? Now, if you have an interesting, unique thing you learned, because you looked up about gum in South America and you wrote up about it, but then I look at your paper and I look at half the classes now got the same unique statement. Nah, ain't gonna work. We do not write lab reports as a group. We gather data as a group, but we never write lab reports as a group. It's always individual work. So if you find something unique, don't share it with everybody in the class, because it's no longer unique and you won't get any extra credit. All right, the last thing you have to do is draw a diagram of the lab on the molecular level. What happens to everything that's going on in the lab? I don't want any pictures of the balance. I don't want a picture of somebody. And it needs to be big enough I can see it. So, I don't want to come over here and say, okay, I'm going to draw the balance. Here's my balance. Here's the little thing on the balance. And there's the gum sitting on it. And then we draw everybody standing around looking at it. Don't want that. I want to know what's happening to the gum. And label. And label. Label it. Do what? Yes, you can draw parts. If it's some, I don't want the mouth. I don't want the mouth chewing. I want to know what happened to the sugar. I want to know what happened to the gum. I'm interested in where everything went after you got through chewing. Now, I don't want a bunch of teeth going. No. I want what happened to the sugar and the gum. All right, so the last thing, this is a picture of that I might draw. of what I want. And it's not all, I'm just giving you an idea. Now, your question, what does this say? Gum and sugar. I'm going over there in a minute. This says gum and sugar. So does this look like a lot of bubble gum? Or where you stuck your mouth? Yeah. If you have markers, you're welcome to color. Now, when I came over here, I know that Miss Duncan said it had gum and sugar. So I drew some shape, and I said we're going to call that one sugar, and we're going to call that one gum. You might want to use different shapes to show the two different kinds, or different colors. Doesn't matter. But then I labeled over here, I said these things are sugar that have the F in them, and these things are gum that have the G in them. I could have just as easily come down here and said sugar, gum, sugar, gum. You know, I could do a different shape. In other words, there's nothing magic about this here shape right here. Nothing magic about it. And right now you don't know that sugar is C12H22O11. Okay? All right, now what is this thing right here? Gum. After I got through chewing it. So I might label this chew gum. How long do you chew your gum? How long do you normally chew gum?
Until the
flavor's gone. So that might be something for procedure, huh? So anyway, then I would come over here and I'd draw something in this area that would depict what I think is going on. Okay?
Wait,
That's
what is
it.
this picture for?
This is what happened after. This is the before, and this is the after.
That shows that he spit the gum out. He's nasty.
Whatever. Okay? Now, you need to go and get the mass of the chewed gum. The mass of the chewed gum.